Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boots in the Field report. In many areas, guys are finishing up or putting the final touches on the 2024 planting season. In other areas, they just need 2 to 5 days to finish, but are struggling to find 2 days that are dry. Traveled to northeast Iowa this past weekend. When you get Route 20 and north, man, there's a lot of water standing in those fields. Some of those areas picked up 2 to 3 inches over the weekend. Growers up there that have high enough APHs are considering taking preventive plant on the unplanted corn acres, especially if they don't have the nitrogen on them yet. Now, in general, it looks like they're probably 80, maybe 85% planted, but the last day or two of planting has got them held up. Some of these fields, I think, will be pushed well out into June before they're dry enough to plant. As we finish up planting here, guys are dabbing in replant areas for both corn and beans. Most of the corn replanting is due to being underwater or covered from the dust storm. Bean replanting is a result of hail, crust, herbicide damage, covered in the dust storm, and water standing on it. But the good news is most cases we're just spotting in replant. There's nothing big scale, just dabs here and there in number of fields. Overall, I'm seeing really good stands in both corn and beans. When corn jumps out of the ground in 5 to 7 days, you end up with a really nice uniform full stands. While this spring has been a little bit of a struggle, I am enthused about the potential that I'm seeing out there. Now, scouts, you need to stay on top of this crop, though. We're still dealing with cutworm and now armyworm in the weedy or cover crop fields, especially those that are non-GMOs. And the non-GMO side, the corn borer is still out there as well, so we need to be scouting for that first generation corn borer, pulling those whorls and unwrapping them. As nitrates are flowing in, I would say they're kind of where we expected. We can see the effects of the heavy rain events in many fields. The second foot nitrates are either equal to or higher than the 1 foot samples. Of course, this would be indicative of it leaching. This N is moving down in the soil. Now, the good news is it's still there, at least till the next couple big rains, but not within reach of the small corn, especially if it's dealing with the carbon penalty from corn on corn or cover crop. Starting to see this in some fields as they enter into the ugly corn phase. Once the roots get deep enough to get to that lower end, they'll improve in color. This is one reason banding N near the row gives you weather protection. A band near the row can carry that corn to waist high, giving it time to set deeper roots and be into that nitrogen that's down there. Question has come in, what if I Y-drop this small yellow corn? Would that turn it around faster than a coulter inject in the middle of the row? The answer is yes, but with small corn you'd have to go really slow as not to splash on the corn and burn it. Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Corn is stalled out in the carbon penalty, slowing root growth that it needs to get to the deeper end. Your G and L1 hybrids will be the hardest hit if they get caught in this ugly corn phase. Now we're bumping N rates with nitrate results and the fact that many guys are bumping yield goals. And I agree with bumping the yield goals. The uniformity of these fields are just outstanding as we're out there looking at them. Now be careful lowering yield goals for the fields due to replant areas. While you may have reduced the yield in 5 acres of replant out of 80, which in turn lowers the field average, keep your yield goal set to the 75 acres of good stand. You lower yield goal when the stand in general has some issues. Remember, in our 4RN program, yield goal, population are important, as well as matching up your soil supplying power. don't turn in a yield goal for 220 when you secretly are hoping for 270 bushel. But I do see a lot of potential in this corn crop. Matt's Group 4 soybeans planted March 21st at Quincy started flowering on May 28th. Man, that's setting them up for some great potential there. I think it's a good time to talk about the elephant in the room. As I travel through our customer base and my trip to Northeast Iowa this weekend, 2024 will go down as one of the toughest we have seen in a while when it comes to water and wind erosion. Most all fields have some, no matter what the program, but many fields just have too much. No doubt the serious erosion is in the tillage. Sheet and gully erosion behind these 2 and 4 inch downpours on spring tillage, it's just unacceptable, guys. We need to step up our efforts to stop this. If we're going to continue with tillage, we need to think about putting the waterways back in that our dads had, the ones we tore out. If you had to take a field cultivator out and work a draw twice this spring, the same draw, you need a waterway, or you need to change your approach to how you farm that field. This spring has highlighted the areas that need to be protected. If not a waterway, scouts map these vulnerable areas and let's implement a farmable waterway. This fall, seed them to cereal rye, lift your tillage tools when you go across them, and burn them off next spring and plant right through them. A few years of that improves things a lot. Now, while flat fields are less susceptible to the gully erosion, they are subject to the wind erosion if they have no residue cover. The dust storms are getting out of hand on the spring tillage, especially behind the high-speed disc that leaves the seedbed of powder. Now, our grandfathers needed a fine seedbed because they had no planter technology. Today, we have planters that can handle just about anything you throw at them. Strip tilling or planting on the contour is so much easier today with auto steer and row shutoffs. Strip tilling up those steep slopes, it's not free from erosion. Sterile seed beds, no-till fields, anything with a cover stood tall this spring in managing erosion. These eroded fields need to be mapped and shared with anyone who's going to make a land application this season. Some of these gullies will be dangerous for sprayer operators trying to do late season Y dropping or fungicide. Some of these fields should be shifted to air applications just for safety. And I don't see high winds or heavy downpours going away anytime soon. As you evaluate every field this spring, I'm asking all of you to step up your stewardship. Some of you need to do a little tweaking. Some of you need to rethink your whole system. I'm sorry for that rant. I'll get off my soapbox. In case you're wondering how I feel about erosion, now you know. There will be no boots in the field next week. The fish scouts in Canada are fighting a heavy infestation of walleye, so Zach and I are going to do our part and go up there and help them out. Isaac, Matt, Katie, and Jared will be working through the nitrates and any other issues you have while we're gone. The corn-soybean campus looks great. We have a lot of good infield classrooms to look at our Crop Tech Summer Field Day. Those of you who want to attend the Farm Journal Corn and Soybean College, go to our website and get yourself registered. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.